Welcome into Pressbox Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles of Pressbox and PressBoxOnline.com. With us, as always, on these Monday afternoon or evening excursions into the world of baseball is Ross Grimsley. Luke Jackson has the night off, and I'll tell you why in just about 20 seconds, because we got a special guest tonight who is in town for the 40th anniversary, none other than John T-Bone Shelby. But let me first tell you that in addition to the Costas Inn, who always brings you all of our Zooms, AJ Michaels is one of our sponsors. Expert and award-winning AJ Michaels Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Home Performance will improve your home's energy efficiency and comfort levels. AC season is here. New rebates and discounts are available. More at ajmichaels.com. We're also brought to you now by Superbook Sports. We'll talk a little bit more about them and the Costas Inn later in the show. As we usually do, it's usually now Ross, Luke, and myself just kicking around baseball, but I got to bump into an old friend and one of my favorite Orioles from years gone by, and that was John T-Bone Shelby, who was in Baltimore recently to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the 83 World Series. First of all, T-Bone, how are you doing?
Stan, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well, and it was great seeing you.
What was first of all, you and Singy are pretty good buddies, right? Through all the Oriole activities and stuff.
Yes.
All right.
And it was wow, just one of those moments where you can't believe it was that long ago. You know, the memories are there, the faces, all the times we had, but the years that have gone by, it's hard to believe it's been that many years since all of us have been together.
It's amazing to think back to it. You know, I have to be honest. I was going to ask you about Mike Young anyway, but we just lost Mike Young about a month ago, 6 weeks ago. Did you know Mike well?
Oh yeah, Mike and I, we played together in the minor leagues, and we actually were roommates in winter ball in Puerto Rico. So you know, when I got traded to the Dodgers in the National League, then I think it was either the next year or the year after when he came over to the Phillies. So we kind of stayed in touch a little bit, but you know, just like all the other times when all the years have gone by, you don't see people for a long time, and then getting the sad news about his passing about 6 weeks ago, I mean, it just hit home because we had a good relationship with each other.
I was going to talk to you about him, but I'll save it for a little bit later on in the Zoom. What was it like seeing everybody there? What was the atmosphere like? That was a team that generally liked one another. I know that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, when my wife Trina and I, when we arrived, we got there early Thursday, went up to the room, went out to get something to eat, and then immediately we went downstairs and just hung out in the bar in the lobby with a bunch of people that had, you know, just flown in. And we just started reminiscing. And I tell you what, even though we were there for a couple of days, we could have stayed there longer. That's how good it was, just seeing each other, being with each other. And as you said, we were a really close team. The wives were really close. So it just made it look like or feel like a family reunion.
One more question before I turn you over to Ross for a few. You look at a team like the Padres this year. They got the best team money can buy, and they're nearly 16, 17 games under 500. The Orioles, conversely, have a low payroll, got a lot of guys that played with each other in the minors, like you did with all your Oriole teammates coming up. There's something to that, isn't there, that you create more of a family and a team rather than just being mercenaries?
Oh, no doubt about it. You know, quite a few of the young guys that were on the team, we played together, you know, in rookie ball, A ball, double A, triple A. So we knew each other. And then when I got called up to the major leagues, basically the team that I joined was a team that had been together for a couple of years. So, you know, they welcomed me in. I knew my role. They helped me, told me how to do my role. And so I instantly became a part of the Oriole family when I made it to the major leagues. And even after a couple of teams, you know, after we won the World Series, a lot of us still stay in touch with each other. That's how close it is. And that's what it was like being part of a family. And as I stated earlier, that's why it seemed like a family reunion, because it was good times all over again.
Ross, go ahead. I know you got a
Yeah.
couple for your old friend.
Really. T, thanks for being with us today, buddy. Appreciate it. I read your bio, and I know you went to Columbia State Community College in Columbia,
Yes.
Tennessee. Well, I went to Jackson State
Come
Community
on.
College. No, I went there for a year so I could sign the next year, and I signed the next year with the Reds, and it was 1968 that I went there. So I just happened to see that. Hey, going back when you were a kid, and how did you get started playing ball? Did you want to be? I know you was born in Kentucky, in Lexington. I know you're a Reds fan, so I don't know. You might have saw us play sometime.
Oh, I know you, Ross. I knew you before I knew you.
But anyway, how did you get started in baseball? I know your mom had a big influence.
I have a feeling, Ross, when he watched you, he said, "Man, I can hit that crap."
Yeah, a lot of guys said that.
No, I grew up, my grandfather was a coach of a team, long before I was born. My uncle played baseball. Very good friend of my family, Lou Johnson from Lexington, Kentucky. He played for the Dodgers. I had some older cousins that were baseball players, and I think it was just inbred in me. When I look back over my career, I never, ever missed the summer of playing baseball. So my biggest dream was to be a professional baseball player. And I had a little sign up on my wall. I had two signs on the wall: Dream Car, which was a Corvette, and Major League Baseball player. And I made it to the major leagues, but the time that I wanted the Corvette, my wife was going to buy it for me. And I told her, don't get it. And she said, why? And I said, because we have children and there's not enough room. So
Right.
I saw my dream car, but I did not want to get it.
Oh God, I know. I wanted a Jaguar. I never got it. That I could have, but I didn't. But I did get a Corvette. So that was.
Man.
So you were drafted by the Orioles the first round in the secondary phase in January. You went on your first year was 77. I think your first time to the big leagues. I think in 1981, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yes.
What was that like for you? What was it had to be just a total elation. You had to be really excited about that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the one thing that was good about it was that I was in spring training in 81. So I got a chance to see some of these guys in real life. You look at them on television, you don't really know what they look like. But when I got called up, I'd already seen these guys in spring training. So, I mean, it was exciting. I was wide-eyed. I was watching everything. Of course, those guys tell you, hey, pay attention. So you learn a lot. So I watched a lot of games. I didn't get to play much, but it was a blast just being there. I remember my first major league at bat. I was nervous, facing Raleigh fingers. And
oh God.
Oh man, they told me go up there and take a pitch. And he threw me, when you're taking a pitch, you don't move. So I stood in the box and kind of loaded, and he threw me the nicest curveball that you could hit. And I watched it float in for a strike. Then he threw something else, and I said, I got to get a swing in. I'm 0-2, and I have no idea what I swung at, but I had no chance of hitting it. So
he probably threw that little breaking ball he had. Nasty little thing. Oh, gee. But I know you went on 83. You played in the series. That had to be, I mean, a short time in the minor leagues and short time in the big leagues, and you play in the World Series in 83. And you were hit 444. You got 4 out of 9. 4 hits out of 9 times up. What was that like for you? I mean, playing with all Eddie Murray, Rip, all those guys. It had to be as exciting as your first time in the big leagues, because that you don't get to the World Series that often, and when you do, it's kind of a dream come true.
Yeah, there's Ross. I remember watching the Big Red Machine, and when the Orioles beat them, man, Brooks Robinson. I still see him making that play on Lee Ray, trying to get down the line. I hated the Orioles, man, because I was a diehard Reds fan. But I tell you what, when we got in the World Series, I think there were probably about, I'm not, I might be mistaken, but there had to be about 8 Hall of Famers in that World Series, you know, from
Right.
the Orioles and the Phillies combined. But one of the biggest thrills was I actually got a chance to play against Tony Perez, Pete Rose, and Joe Morgan. They were on the Phillies, so I kind of felt like I was playing against the Reds, man. It was the biggest thrill of my life.
Really?
Oh yeah, man.
No,
That's how I looked at it.
It's unbelievable. I know I was a kid. I collected baseball cards, and the next thing you know, I'm in the big leagues playing against the guys I'm collecting baseball cards of, and I never dreamed of ever playing in the big leagues. It was just where, you know, the Mays, Aaron, McCovey, Nolan, all these big stars were. That wasn't me, and I didn't realize. I mean, when did you realize that you belonged there?
And actually, when I got called up in 1982, going down the pennant stretch, I played in a lot of games. And I was supposed to have surgery on my elbow. I had a bone spur that was bothering me. And I didn't know if I could throw or not, but I found out in the minor leagues that if I didn't take infield, which is a rarity, you probably got these guys wondering, what is infield? You know, nobody takes it anymore. But anyway, I got called up and Earl called me in the office and he said, hey, I know you're having surgery at the end of the year. If you have to make a throw, can you make it? I said, Earl, I can make it if I don't take infield. He said, fine, don't take infield. So we were playing in Milwaukee. I went in for defense. Bob Scooby on third. Cecil
That's
Cooper.
that's a famous play.
Yes, that was the only throw that I made in 1982. And when I made that throw, running to the dugout and seeing those guys standing up and screaming and going crazy, I knew I belonged in the major leagues. That made it for me.
Hey,
Great.
hey,
Go ahead,
hey,
Stan.
hey, T-Bone, you talked about it the other day on the stage during the press briefing, but I don't think a lot of our viewers saw it. So I'm going to ask you to tell the story again about your friendly competition when you came up with Al Bunbury, because I think it's really speaks to what we were talking about team. But, you know, go ahead and tell that story.
Okay, well, in 1982, in spring training, I was having a great spring. Actually, I had 444 that spring. And, you know, I was competing to make the team. I wanted to stay. And every day it seemed like reporters came to me asking me about taking Al Bunbury's job. And I told him, all I want to do is make the team. And I'm sure he was getting the same stuff, you know, back from reporters about how well I was doing and me taking his job. And so I didn't give in. And one day, Bunbury called me over. He said, hey, T-Bone, come here, sit by me. I sat down beside him. He said, listen, I'm your biggest fan. I want you to know I'm pulling for you. I want you to make this team because I know you can help us. And he said, we are not going to let these guys come in between us. And I tell you what, man, just hearing those words and having him speak to me, knowing that, you know, in the minor leagues, I played every day. In the major leagues, he played every day. And now all of a sudden we're going to have to share the same position. But when he told me that, man, I tell you what, that was another part where I felt like, you know what, this guy's for me. And I want to do everything I can to make this club. And I'm thankful that I have a teammate like that to take me under his wings.
Did you make it out of spring training? You didn't make it out of spring training in 82, did you?
Oh, yes. Yes.
You did?
I made it out of spring training and stayed until 85. I went down a little bit in 85 and then I came back. But yeah, I made the club out of spring. No, not in 82.
In 83.
This was 83 when Bunbury told me that.
Yeah.
That was when I hit 444 in spring training.
Okay.
So that wasn't 82. That was 83 in spring training when he told me. And I made the club out of spring training.
The reason you were playing a good bit in the end of 82 was Bunbury hurt? Was he hurt?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I do remember you getting a lot of playing time in September of 82 when we made that incredible run at the Brewers.
Oh my goodness. And I think I may have played in about 29 out of 35 games. You know, I pinch ran, I pinch hit. I mostly went in for defense. I remember getting my first major league start against the Yankees at home down that, you know, the last week of the season, got my first major league hit. And then we played the Brewers the last homestand, got my first major league home run. So that felt like the World Series at the end of 1982, except we didn't win it. We lost on the last day.
Hey, you got to do something pretty unusual. There are a number of people that play Major League Baseball that never win a World Series. Ernie Banks, for example. You played and won 2 World Series, 5 years apart, 83 with the Orioles, 88 with the Dodgers. And they didn't have a celebration for the World Series this year, but they had another special celebration this year. Can you tell our listeners about that? Because I know you went out for that.
Which one?
The one with Hershiser.
Oh, no, I didn't. I was
you didn't go there
for that. No,
okay.
I was invited to it, but I had family coming in town.
Okay.
I couldn't make it, but I talked to him and congratulated.
What was that like playing behind Hershiser while he was going for that consecutive shutout inning streak?
Stan, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know he had a streak until later on.
Probably a good thing too, wasn't it?
That's a good thing, yeah.
I mean, I knew who Don Drysdale was. At that time, he was around all the time. When I joined the Dodgers, I didn't know he had a streak. And once Earl got close to it, then, more and more people start talking about it. So when that last game, when he had a chance to break it, I was hoping I could get that last out, man. I wanted to be a part of it. But I was a part of it because I think I had played some key roles in some of our wins in the games that he pitched in.
Well, who was a better manager, Weaver or Lasorda?
You know what? I'm gonna change that, and here's how I'm gonna change it. You talk about having the opportunity to play in 2 World Series. I think I'm one of the few guys that ever played for 3 Hall of Fame managers, and that is Earl Weaver, Tommy Lasorda, and Sparky Anderson.
That's right. You played for Sparky. Yeah.
I played for Sparky too. So when I was growing up, Sparky Anderson was the best manager in the world. When I was in Baltimore, Earl Weaver was the best manager. And then when I played for the Dodgers, there was nobody like Tommy Lasorda. He's completely different. So I really enjoyed playing for Tommy because he was more personal.
You got to play for 3 top managers, no question about it. When you went to the Dodgers that year in '87, you had 1 home run when you left Baltimore. You ended the season with 22 home runs. You hit 21 for the Dodgers that year.
Yes.
Did they impart some type of knowledge to you? Did their hitting instructor do something, or was it just happened because you got playing time?
I went over. I didn't know what to expect. I don't know if they knew what I was capable of doing, but I felt very, very relaxed. I didn't know the league. The league didn't know me, but I faced guys that I'd faced in the minor league, some of them, and I had a lot of friends my age on the Dodgers team. So I don't know. It just seemed like I fit in and everything just worked out. I really enjoyed the everyday playing time, and it made me relax. The hitting coach was Manny Mota. All he talked about was making contact, and not trying to pull the ball, not trying to overswing, cut down my swing a little bit. And things just started happening for the best. And the next year we won the World Series and won it again.
Ross, you're going to pick up in just a minute with a couple more questions for T-Bone Shelby. Now is the time to place your baseball bets and your preseason football bets with our friends at Superbook Sports. Superbook is the most trusted name in Vegas, and now you can use promo code StanCharles23. That's right. They actually gave me a promo code. How about that, Ross? StanCharles23.
It worked for me too?
Not yet. Not yet. They don't know who you are yet, but they will. But you can type that in, StanCharles23, when you sign up at Superbook Sports. You score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code StanCharles23. It's not case sensitive, so it can be all caps or mixed caps and small letters. StanCharles23, all one word with no spaces. Don't miss out this season win some money with Superbook Sports and promo code StanCharles23. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Ross, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, T, you played from 81 to 91. You played with mostly the Orioles and the Dodgers. After your playing career, you went into coaching. I know you did that for 17 or 18 years at the major league level, correct?
Yes, and managed in the minor leagues.
How did you get involved in that?
Well, I thought I was retired from baseball after '92 season AAA with the Red Sox, and Major League Baseball called me. Friend of mine threw my name in. They were looking for a manager in Butte, Montana, and I said I swore I'd never coach or manage again. Thought I was done. I had a chance to go to Mexico, and I turned that down. And I said, I know my career over now, and I told them I didn't want the job, and they kept calling, and I said, finally, I'm gonna give them a call, and I'm gonna call the general manager, see what it's like. I have no idea where Butte, Montana is. I know nothing about it.
How many people do?
What organization?
Evel Knievel's hometown.
Yeah.
T-Bone, what organization was that?
I actually had a co-op team. I had Major League Baseball funded it. I had 6 organizations. Most of my players were released players out of spring training, but the organizations wanted them to play one more summer. So it was 3 months, never been to Yellowstone, never been up to that part of Canada. So basically, I hate to say this, I hope none of my players are listening, but I took the job for the vacation. and I fell in love with my players. Before the season was over, I had 3 organizations interview me about furthering my managerial career. And so it was between the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Expos. And of course, being a former Dodger, I chose the Dodgers, and my coaching career just took off from there.
Right. I know you was with the Orioles for 2008 and 2010, until then, 8, 9, and 10. I know. I believe Adam Jones credited you with helping him come to improve as an outfielder, as a player, basically. So that had to make you feel good that somebody said nice things about you, trying to help them out and stuff. But I know you have 3 sons, and they all played professional baseball, correct?
Well, actually, I have 5 sons.
5.
Five sons and 1 daughter. 3 of them played professionally. My youngest son had an opportunity to sign with the Blue Jays, but 2 of my boys played at Kentucky, and my youngest son wanted to play at Kentucky. So he turned the offer down and went to Kentucky to play. And 3 of my boys are the only brothers to ever play at Kentucky. But he didn't get drafted after that. So he's now in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization as a scout right now. So, but 3 of the 5 played professionally.
Yep. Now, do you get a chance to watch any games now, or do you watch many of them?
Well, actually, my nephew, Josh Harrison, he just got released by Philadelphia. I watched the Phillies quite a bit, and the last games that I went to, besides the Orioles games, were going to watch and play when they played the Rays and when they played down in Miami. So I always kept up with them, but I've always had the Orioles on my iPad, and I keep up with the O's. I don't get to see many games, but I keep up with them. I have to, the Orioles and the Dodgers. It's in my blood. It's in my blood.
I hear you.
I'm a diehard O's.
Well, by coaching up until 2016, and now you've been out of the game for what is that, 7 years now?
Yes.
What do you see the difference in the game now than you did when you left?
Well,
or
actually,
do you see much of a difference?
Yeah, Ross, there is a difference. And actually in 17, 18, and 19, I was the base running outfield minor league coordinator for the Atlanta Braves.
Right.
So over the last couple of years, I think when I was coaching in Milwaukee in the major leagues, that's when the analytics, that's when that was all beginning to be implemented. So you could see the changes coming. You didn't know which direction, the game was going in. And I think with all the changes that took place, it was kind of a shock to a lot of people, and just, the shifts and all the different things. But to me personally, it seems like the game is kind of coming back to its normalcy. That they hire a lot of coaches that are former players now. So I think you have to have a mix of both. The
Right.
analytics are good to a certain extent, and they do help a lot. There's no doubt about it. They really do help a lot. But I still think you need some players and some people that have been in the game that can help, keep these guys, I guess, somewhat consistent with the way baseball has been played. I think the game is pure in itself, and with the new changes, it's just something that we all have to get used to. We just have to get used to it and adjust to it, because, like everything, time changes and people change, but you can adjust to it and you can make it work for you.
T-Bone, I was gonna ask you about now the late Mike Young. You knew him pretty well. You played with him for a while. He came up, and I was on the radio back then, and I would give my opinion on things. And Mike did not look like he was a good minor league player. Didn't look like he was going to make it in the major leagues those first 2 or 3 months. And I would sort of criticize him. He can't hit the ball. He's not and the next thing you know, he went on a 6-8 week streak that really shut me up. But my question is not to pat myself on the back, because I said on the air, boy, it looks like I was wrong about Mike Young. No sooner did I say that than the next season he went back to earth, and he never quite came back to really being a star player that it was possibly could have been. How tough is it for young hitters? Because the game is always about adjustments. And clearly, Mike was never able to make that set of adjustments going on.
Well, I played with him in the minor leagues, and he had tremendous power. There was no doubt about it from both sides of the plate. And, when a guy gets called up when he's young, you have no idea how he's going to fold into it, if he's going to be overmatched, if he's going to be overwhelmed, or if he's just going to come in and settle in and just take off. And I think it took him a little bit to settle in. But once he settled in and started hitting home runs, it wasn't a surprise to me, because I was his teammate in AAA. So I had seen that kind of power before. And, just like the game of baseball, if you're doing well against somebody, they're going to make adjustments.
Yep.
But then you have to make adjustments off of that. And I'm not sure that he really made great adjustments. And the reason I say that is a lot of people want to hit home runs, but when you come up and you're that successful hitting home runs, there are going to be some major changes with the pitching staff, and they're going to try some different things. So you have to be ready to make those type of adjustments yourself, and then just try to get hits instead of being a home run hitter.
My seats back then, I used to sit in box seats that I owned, and I used to sit right by the scouts. And I asked a couple of them, and they all said all of his home runs were on low fastballs. And they started saying, we're not throwing him any more low fastballs. And they'd come up and in on him.
Yes.
And he never was able to make that adjustment.
Yes, and with you saying that, and I'm not putting Mike down. When we went AAA against the New York Yankees, they had a pitching staff where they were very consistent, and they pitched Mike up and in, and that was his big hole.
Yep.
Anything down, when he got his hands to it, he could hit it out of any ballpark.
And he had tremendous power. Yeah.
Yes, the consistency that the Yankees had, they never changed. And that was one team that I saw overmatch Mike. And, once he got to the major leagues, people talk, and I think other teams started seeing it, or maybe people were talking about, what they did down in the minor leagues. And that's when everything changed for him. But I never saw those adjustments when we were in AAA.
Yeah. All right. That's a great answer, because he was a really good guy.
He was a good person. Yes, he was.
He was a good person. Ross, you got one more to finish it up?
I got two I got to ask you. I
right.
want to know the best pitcher you ever saw.
The best pitcher I ever saw.
or hit against or whatever.
Or behind you defensively. I mean, you were behind them defensively. Like, would you put was Hershiser one of the best you saw?
Yeah, Hershiser definitely was one of the best pitchers that I played behind. I mean, this guy could pinpoint balls. He knew what he was doing. You know, he would tell me how to play certain guys. The only guy that Hershiser had trouble with was Tony Gwynn. He said, T-Bone, I want you to play him straight away. And I said, why? He said, look, if I go in, he pulls it. If I go away, he hits it to left field. I said, so what are you going to do? He said, I want you to play straight away. I'm going to throw it down the middle and he has to figure it out. So
That's great.
yeah,
That's great.
But
How about
one of the best.
How about Nolan Ryan? How'd you do against Ryan?
Oh, I got a couple of hits, and I'm one of those 5,000 to 10,000 strikeouts. I got a couple of those. But I did get some hits off of him. Matter of fact, when I had a 24-game hitting streak, he may have been one of the last guys I got a hit off of.
How about, I'm going to give you a couple more pitchers. How'd you do against, did you face Tom Seaver a few times?
Yeah, got a good story for Tom Seaver. We were playing in Chicago, and I looked up, the third baseman was back, and I said, I'm going to drop one down. So I laid down one of the best bunts ever. I'm flying down the line, and Jimmy Williams has his hands up, and I turned around, hit first base. So I'm like, there's no way that ball went foul. So I turned around, looked back, Tom Seaver standing there. He's rubbing the ball with his glove under his arm, and he's staring a hole in me. And I asked Jimmy Williams, I said, what happened? He said, he just called the third baseman off. I said, why? He said, I don't know. Well, anyway, my next at bat, I get up to the plate. Tom Seaver's in his windup, and Carlton Fisk says, heads up, kid.
Yeah.
Oh, to this day, I think the ball went through me. I don't know how he missed me, but I thank Carlton Fisk because all you could hear was heads up, kid.
That's great.
Oh, man.
So the one more pitcher I got for you was J.R. Richards. Did you ever face him?
No, he was done by the time I got there. But
How about
I did.
I bet you wish you hadn't.
You're right.
I interrupted your question, Ross. You had one more.
The pitcher, I want to know the best hitter that you've ever seen.
Oh, my goodness. And I know this is.
There's a ton of them.
No, well, the best hitter I ever saw, one of the best players I ever saw in the game of baseball, and this probably comes with people questioning it, was Barry Bonds. I've never, ever seen anybody do what he did. I'm telling you, never. He's the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I was his batting practice bitch in San Francisco in spring training.
What's that?
I threw to him in spring training.
Did you?
Oh yeah, he wanted a left-handed pitcher, and he wanted this. He wanted the old guy.
Oh my goodness!
And that was me. But yeah, I tell you what, he for me was the best I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I never pitched to him other than batting practice. But you couldn't hit him because he'll pull it, but he'll pull it fair. If you do the ball right at him, he'd keep it fair. But he had an eye. Or I would throw a pitch that would be this far off the plate, and I throw the next pitch, it would be that far, and he'd take it. He'd ask, where was that first pitch? And I go, it's about a ball off the plate. He goes to the next pitch. It was half the. He'd take it. He knew it was a ball. I was amazed. I was amazed at what he could see and what he could do, and he was something else for me. He's the greatest that I've ever seen.
Yeah, greatest I ever seen. And saying when you were talking about best pitchers that I ever faced, I just thought of one. When I got traded to the Dodgers in spring training, Sandy Koufax threw me some curveballs. And I had to bear down because it looked like he still had it. And back then at Vero Beach, the fans stayed around for extra hitting. So I had to bear down to hit Sandy Koufax's curveball.
That's great.
Oh my God, he was tough, boy.
Hey,
That's special. You got to hit off of him.
hey,
Yes.
T-Bone, we really appreciate your staying on. We kept you a little longer because we just
Nah.
got talking. It's been a pleasure catching up with you. We'll do it again sometime, okay?
All right. Reach out anytime.
Hope
Gee,
you,
thanks, buddy.
hope you
Okay.
stay healthy.
I'm gonna get
All
your
right.
number from Stan since we're so close.
Do that, please.
All right, buddy.
All right. Good seeing you guys.
Talk to you
Thanks.
soon.
All
Okay.
right.
Ross, hang on with me for just a
Gotcha,
minute
man. Yeah.
because I got to tell everybody about the Costas Inn. The Costas Inn located at 4100 North Point Boulevard. Really just a terrific crab house, but it's also a great family restaurant. I mean, their crabs are fantastic. Everybody knows their crab cakes are fantastic. So is the crab soup, but they got specials every night of the week, Monday through Friday. Try it, the Costas Inn. You can also order online, pay for it online, and pick it up. You don't even have to get out of your car. They're located at 4100 North Point Boulevard, a great restaurant, great people, family atmosphere. Ross will be back next week. We'll probably do it at 4:00. You, me, and Luke. All right.
Gotcha. Yes, sir.
All right. That was good catching up with T-Bone.
He's great. I hadn't talked to him in a long time, but I didn't realize he was this close to.
I'll text you. I'll text you his. I'll text you his number.
I know he'll love that. Singy comes down, Bunbury comes down. We got
That's
a chance
great.
to hook up.
That's great. That's great.
That'll be fun.
That was a great story he told about Bunbury. Said a lot about both. Said a lot about both people.
He was a very quiet guy. He never
Yes.
spoke a lot.
Yeah.
He was very quiet, went about his business. Great family guy, great wife. He married his high school sweetheart.
That's
And
great.
they've still been together. So he's an excellent guy. Excellent guy. 18 years in the big leagues as a coach.
That says something. Boy.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Hey,
does.
we'll talk soon, Ross. Okay.
Gotcha,
And I'll
buddy.
get you that number. All right.
Okay.
Bye.